Hello, friends. I'm so excited that we're finally having this full moon lunar eclipse tomorrow. And it's about 5:30 in the evening, Eastern Standard Time. And the reason why I'm so excited for this eclipse is because the January eclipses were so hard on us as a nation. And I'll show that to you later. It really gave Trump a false sense of power, I think. And now USA has gotten her strength back. I mean, if you think about the beginning of the year, we started off with a shutdown for like a month. And then one awful thing after another, and now we're like separating families, gonna go to war with this person, that person, cannot even keep it straight. Well, the thing is that during the January eclipses, it essentially put USA to sleep. She had no power. She had no stamina. She had no defenses. She had nothing. I mean, thank God we took back the house. I'm not even going to go there. But she laid powerless. And she woke up, especially during our July 2nd eclipse, right before USA's birthday. And that was such a power boost to get the nation awake. It woke up the world. I mean, the world is paying attention. And with this full moon, now full moons are always about illumination and revealing those things, the seeds that were planted at the new moon. Well, when you get eclipses, not only does it do that, but it kind of establishes a path. I call them like energetic fault lines of where the energy is supposed to flow for the next, year, 2 years, about 18 months on average. So the eclipses always work in pairs to make radical changes that we just physically, even the earth itself, could not deal with. All the changes at once. And so what I like to do, we're going to go back to now this first quarter moon that we had on Tuesday. And what I really like about this format with the first with the lunar eclipses, aside from it's nice and big and I can put my cards here, is that the tarot just makes this process so much richer. And the horoscope, the astrology, keeps us within a limited, focused frame of reference. I mean, Donald says he's going to go do this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and then everyone's off chasing him. And I'm like, no, that's not part of the plan. So when we look at this first quarter moon that we had, I said last time, the major players were over here. And things would be happening below the horizon. See, this is the east-west horizon. This is the day. See, the sun was rising last week. 6:55 a.m. It just came over the eastern horizon, and then it would set over here, and whatever activity is going on down here, we don't see. I mean, it's just like, the sun rises, the sun sets. If people walked out during the daytime, they would see people and activity going on. When the sun sets, it's not that everybody left and you walked outside, you don't see anyone. It's because everyone is inside doing their own thing and you can't see what's going on. So a lot of stuff just isn't our business, and there's just no way we can get it unless you have tarot cards. But this is what I loved about this chart, because I'm like, what? I knew something big had to be happening this week, because the ascendant was at 29 degrees Cancer. 29 degrees, they're anaretic degrees. They're about endings. On top of it, the part of fortune and luck was at 29 degrees Libra, which has to do with justice. And that was an ending. You know what happened when the moon was in Libra? The 9/11 First responders were finally having justice. For permanent funding, Libras ruled by Venus. Money gains income. The things that stood out to me this week, I was like, Donald drew the Queen of Cups, the USA on the ascendant. It's like, you're paying attention to us or you're going to do something to us. We drew, and then in the first house, he had the Eight of Cups, which was walking away. I'm like, somebody's going to walk away this week. Well, it ended up being Acosta. And then the Eight of Coins, the USA bill took, we drew, that's the Eight Pentacles. That's the data machine for me when it comes to the 2016 election. It's also Bill Barr, just working like doing whatever over and over and over. So I expected something to come out about data and information. And here we find today through CNN, that Julian Assange meeting with Russians, getting USB drives, all the hacking and the materials and all the data. So anyway, so the moon started in the fourth house. We, the people, drew Wheel of Fortune, so we would be like lucky. Donald had 3 wands. Look at how much this past week he's like asking for help. No one will help him. Like his 6 wands mob buddies are just like, see you later. They're not responding to him. And by the way, the 6 wands mob, that is the 6 of wands card. And let's see if I can find it again because I'm not very good at finding stuff. But 6 of wands mob, basically the core that has rigged elections, steamrolled 250 elections, going to the far right, and they represent, because the 6 of wands is shared celebration. And so the 6 of wands represents Trump, Putin, MBS, Netanyahu, Un, and Xi. But it spreads out to more countries. My MBS card is turning out to be like the Middle East and like Qatar. See, I told you I wouldn't find it. Oh, duh. I'll show you where it is. It's right here. So, and I don't even know where I went with that. But anyway, data, Wheel of Fortune. So Donald was trying to establish a lot of communication. He and Putin had a falling out like Monday or Tuesday night. He was just out of his mind. And that he had the 3 wands card, like waiting to hear back. Why isn't anyone picking up? Why won't they return my messages? 'Cause, But we, the people, we were fortunate in that, what's so the ACA was back in court and the judges sided with us. New York passed the bill about getting Donald's taxes. Judges rebuked the citizenship question with the census. Barr recused and he unrecused. And the Dems were pursuing criminal contempt charges against Ross and Barr. Well, then as the moon moved into Scorpio, and more things were revealed, we still had the upper hand with luck. They canceled the strip club thing at that golf course. Donald backed down about the census. And then... Acosta resigns. So then the moon moved over here, like Monday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Remember, he was out of his mind on Friday. I'm like, what is going on? That was called Donald check-in number 1 and number 2. Well, he drew the Knight of Pentacles. I think that's when he found out that Jared flipped on him. Because then it showed him trying to make offers to Putin to help him out to retaliate against Jared. He also, who else was he trying to? He was trying to make a lot of offers to other people. We the people had the 3 of Wands, and we were getting more information coming over from overseas. And then finally, we get to Monday. And I knew today was going to be a big day. I still could not figure out how, Donald drew the Six of Wands, his Six Wands mob. Or no, we drew the Six Wands mob. That we should get more information about them. And Donald drew the Queen of Swords. I'm like, what's going to happen? Well, we found out what happened today. We've got Epstein, all that going on in New York. And then we find out about the 2016 election. Manafort's trial was beginning. So was the Bijan Keon. We find out about Mike Flynn. So I guess what I'm just trying to say is that there is a set thing. We can only get so much done within 1 week, correct? Oh, there's a duh. Okay, so anyway, I wanted to recap that with you. Okay. So, okay. This is why I want to explain to you that I am excited for this full moon eclipse. Because, like I said, the United States desperately needed to get her mojo back. And I think I talked about that at the new moon eclipse, July 2nd. So when you go back to January 5th was a partial solar eclipse, a new moon eclipse. I liken it to, it kind of set the stage for that monster total lunar eclipse on January 21st. Here's why it set the stage. Here we have the midheaven. Oh, can you see that? The midheaven at, the highest point. Okay. When the sun rises, it reaches its highest point of the day. That's called the midheaven. We all have midheaven in our chart, and that's what we strive for. That's kind of what calls us during our lifetimes to achieve where we're going. And it's our public self because it's what everybody sees about each other. So the sun hits the midheaven and then it sets to the descendant, okay? So the midheaven was 22 degrees Taurus. The ascendant was 28 degrees Leo. The ascendant is the sign that's on the eastern horizon. Whenever you read your horoscope, you should read your sun sign. And if you know your ascendant, the sign that's on the ascendant in your chart, because that's the way you relate to the world. When you were born, the sun, the sign that was rising over the eastern horizon, when you took your first breath, that's your life-giving breath. So you take that breath in and it's like, oh, that's how I relate to the world. And that's how you're always presenting to yourself, or presenting yourself to the world and interacting with the world. And so these two critical points set the tone. Well, guess who has their midheaven in Taurus and their ascendant in Leo? Donald. His midheaven is 24 degrees Taurus. His ascendant is 29 degrees Leo. I mean, that's pretty close. So that set the stage. We were in a shutdown. And I'm sure it gave Donald the sense of security that, hey, look at me, because he's born under an eclipse. I can do whatever I want. So that set the tone. And then there were all these planets in the fifth house. Leo is the traditional ruler of the fifth house. And they were all in the icy sign of Capricorn. Here we have Mercury, Saturn, Moon, Sun, and Pluto. Communications, restrictions, obstacles. The sun is like the soul of the country. The moon is her people. And they're sandwiched between Saturn and Pluto. Pluto, destruction, intensity, life, death. Saturn, obstacles, restrictions, authority. Right? On top of it, all these signs were opposite the USA sign in Cancer. So her sun, her vitality, you think of the sun being the center of the galaxy, that's what gives life force. So here, the United States, she's opposing all these things. Okay, this is what set the stage. And then all these planets are in the 5th house, the traditional ruler by Leo. So Donald like thinks he owns now the galaxy, I'm sure. So that was a really rough winter. Well, and then what happened was that let's see, what else did we have here? So, and then what happened is that we had this monster total lunar blood red supermoon eclipse January 21st. Now, I talked recently, was it at the first quarter? No, I think it was like Friday. Oh, Trump eclipsed. It's that video, his inauguration eclipsed. Because now, this is what set into the motion the ending for Donald, because it was a full moon. Full moons are about culminations, endings, they climax, they reveal. It is revealed to us, oops, someone's done with their tenure. And the ascendant and the descendant, 25 degrees Libra, 25 degrees Aries, were squaring Donald's Venus, his income and his money. So not only is the sun and moon getting eclipsed, you have Mercury, ascendant, it is just touching his money all over the place. So then, oh, and I think this is like right around the time that Roger Stone was indicted. That's when it was like, uh-oh, Donald wasn't so full of himself anymore. We had this eclipse because it started eclipsing him and chopping away at him. So during this eclipse, now Saturn's at 13, opposite the sun of the United States of America. Mercury was opposite USA's Mercury. This was just such a brutal, I don't want to say life-taking, but very draining on the life force of the U.S. and the people and American citizens. And we just had no wiggle room at all to get around obstacles or get around. It was just like a dead end, and we just had to be extraordinarily patient. Well, then we had the Cancer new moon eclipse that ushered in all that wonderful eclipse energy to give us some change just a couple days before USA's birthday. So she's just drenched in new possibilities. And so that's what happened at that eclipse. But you will notice this Saturn-Pluto conjunction, opposite sun. So we're still going to be in this teeter-totter thing of the soul of America at odds with itself, with how to govern, where the opposition is, where our emotions are, you know. And when we say we're battling for the soul of America, we truly feel like we are. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you a little bit on why I'm looking forward to this. Oh, and you know what else? Oh, Donald is so done. He is so done. I just can't even describe how done he is. Okay, I'm going to pause here. You know what? I'm just going to start off by reading you Donald's horoscope as a Gemini. If you can, this is the tone it's setting with what's being revealed and what it's going to keep being triggered for the next year. Okay? So he's a Gemini. And Gemini's listening, don't worry, because you're not Donald. But keep it in the back of your mind. But, I mean, just imagine Donald hearing this horoscope. So this is from Astrology Zone with Susan Miller. I love Susan Miller. It says, Gemini, financial news could surface out of the blue and may feel jarring. Along with Pluto and Saturn, the full moon lunar eclipse in Capricorn, your shared money sector will face off against the Sun and Venus in Cancer. USA, your earned income sector. You may hear about an unfair situation that has you earning less or receiving fewer perks than your colleagues. Wah, wah. Alternatively, if you work on commission or earn significant money from royalties, you may find out about a change that will affect your livelihood. Look to your partner or compassionate colleague to help you process your emotions. Donald calls Putin. Okay, so if that just kind of gives you a hint. Okay, so the most important thing that's happening with this eclipse, and astrologers are going to be talking about this through January next year, is first, this Saturn-Pluto conjunction here. I don't know if you can see that. Saturn is 16 degrees Capricorn in the first house. Pluto is 21 degrees in the second house. And Pluto is squaring Donald's part of life. I talked about that on the check-in with Donald on Friday, where I was freaking out. But that was short-lived. So this is what is in, that's in reference to, and the moon is in the second house. So on top of that, in Washington, D.C., there's going to be a focus, and if the sun represents the president in a horoscope, what the focus and attention the moon is revealing under an eclipse is income, gains, financial. Pluto is life, death, destruction, taxes, debts, money you owe other people. Do you see where this is going? Moreover, this I am so grateful for, because for years I've been like, how do we get to his money and his taxes and all that stuff with this information? I'll tell you why. Because in his natal chart, if you look over here, this is a sign of Cancer. Here is Saturn, 23 degrees. Here's Venus, 25 degrees Cancer. Venus represents income and gain. Saturn is a planet of obstacles and restrictions. It also could represent inheritance. With money, it's money that, has been passed on to you. So, as this horoscope is just, the earth is turning, but on paper, the horoscope turns, okay, to compensate for that. So wherever Donald is going, to get to his Venus, to his money, you have to go through Saturn first. And Saturn is like a brick wall. Saturn is the taskmaster. It is an icy, serious planet. It's blockages, it's obstruction, it's if you think about the tarot and the tower not being struck by lightning is Capricorn, okay? Because it's like a stone structure. Capricorn always pops into my mind when I see the tower, because I think of it as a structure that's been established for a long time. So all these years, whenever Donald greets the world, he has his weird, quirky, whatever, chaos, and then his sun, and then the way he talks, Mercury. So he's a schmoozer. That's why he thinks he's a deal maker. And then if he wants to talk to money, he knows his money is very well guarded. So this eclipse, what happens? Dun, dun, dun. 23 degrees, 25 degrees. The moon is 24 degrees Capricorn. The sun is 24 degrees Cancer. This is like a can opener. Finally, we're going to be able to open up what's going on with that money once and for all. And he can't do a thing about it. And it's going to be wide open for everyone to see. So some other things. The sun is in the 8th house of taxes. The moon is in the 2nd house of earned income. This is so much energy is going to be there. Now, there are some transits that are affecting Donald that has me just Oh my gosh. Which one do I want to talk about? I guess where's the one? So Mars, this is it. Transit Mars is 9 degrees Leo. His natal Pluto is 10 degrees Leo. That is aggression, more aggression warrior, you know, packed onto his destructive, cruel, and just warring, obsessive self. I mean, it's just, he's just that nasty, aggressive, obsessive, like, you know, that all of that is now going to be blown up with more aggression. He is going to be more impulsive. He's going to have a short fuse. He's going to be even more heated. He's going to have more outbursts. He's going to be more reckless. He's going to be taking more risk-taking. In fact, the Mars conjunct Pluto is known as a daredevil, fearless to the point of a death wish. On top of it, the Mars is squaring... Oh, wait, no. Well, you know what? I'm just going to describe to you what's happening. So there's some things happening where he's just going to... His public self is not going to be very appealing. His reviews are going to be down. Okay, so his sun, how he expresses himself, the Mars-Uranus midpoint sits over his sun, which is going to make him even more explosive, more unpredictable, more chaotic. And then you have Mercury, Uranus right there, and he's just going to be babbling. He is not going to make... We thought he wasn't doing well before. He is just going to be that much worse, that much more impulsive, that much more risk-taking, and he has Saturn rolling over his... opposing his solar return Mercury. No one's going to listen to him. The moon Pluto midpoint is sitting over his solar return Pluto. That doesn't bode well for the body. That's really hard on the body, the physical body, the toll of a destructive Pluto on top of you with, I mean, it just reemphasizes all that stuff that I was concerned about him last week. Okay, I could go on and on about this, but this was the most important part.